All righty. Hi, everyone. It's Kim. I'm here today with my Women Empowerment series with Nadia Vanderhall of Brands and Vans. Nadia is a marketing professional, and in recent years, she has also moved into the financial advising world. So, tell us a little bit about how Brands and Vans started.
Interestingly enough, Brands and Bands started in the last recession. I know right now we're kind of going through a pandemic, but back in 2010, 2009, I found myself being laid off due to the fact my job got outsourced. And during that time, I was pretty much brand new out of college, and I still want to get that job in marketing. And those jobs were kind of far and few between. And I said, well, what better way is to be a boss for yourself? And also through
Absolutely.
that, I started learning about what I didn't have, money. I kind of fused those two entities together to formulate my company. So that was an interesting ride, but it set the foundation for what I'm able to speak to people now in the pandemic due to going through what I went through a couple years ago.
Absolutely. And there's nothing more empowering than being your own boss, right?
Yeah, I
I
learned that the
mean,
hard way.
I know it really it feels pretty amazing. I will say that. So
Yeah.
tell everyone, what types of services do you offer to your clients?
The type of services that I offer on the money side is a signature offering called Funnel Your Funds, which is kind of a way for me to kind of take an idea of what my client needs, whether it's budgeting, planning for legacy planning, meaning generational wealth, figuring out what their credit score looks like, anything that they have a question that kind of funnels down. And then that's pretty much my claim to fame with the offerings, but also on the marketing side, a lot of small businesses are finding their way within this pandemic, trying to understand how can I pivot during this pandemic? And that's usually a question that I get. And a lot of the times it's about shifting and creating a synergy within their business and through their marketing and gaining engagement through clients. So
Oh,
the
very
synergy
good.
offering is good for marketing as well as the fund in your funds.
Absolutely, absolutely. So do you have a niche market? Do you cater to one certain type of person, or do you find that you have just all kinds of clients?
I have all kinds of clients. I have been really lucky for the whole word of mouth opportunity, and also being able to speak to people. And I find a lot of my sessions that I have are more like, we're working on a strategy for you, but it's also like a coaching session, meaning people, I think I had the couple I had last night, they wanted to say, do you have a couch? Because it feels like this is a therapy session, but yet I'm helping you with your finances. So it's not a niche that I kind of find myself towards. It's the whole, what's that, the field of dreams, that if you build it, they will come. And a
Right.
lot of the people who are attracted to me or attracted to my platform are those who I don't find myself having to force feed. They actually, understand and make sense, and they feel comfortable. But most of them have, interestingly enough, been millennials, but I'm also finding some of the boomers coming around. So it
Okay.
depends on what I'm talking about and what people are looking at that time. And like they say, if you build it, they're coming. I've been lucky since.
That's awesome. So tell me, what advice would you give someone who is young, coming out of college? What advice would you give them when it comes to planning for their future? I know at 22, 23 years old, when I finished school, I'll be honest, I wasn't interested in, who cares about savings? I'm not what? Retire when I'm 60? Oh, I have many years. Now I'm 52, and now I'm like, oh crap.
It doesn't matter until it's like knocking at the door. It's like, oh, some advice that I would give is to how did I like to explain it? The whole jeans analogy, like your favorite pair of jeans. So the front pockets is more like the short term planning. So like for if you want to go the Tulum, which we can't. But if you want to go to Tulum, if you want to save for a down payment on your car, those are the kind of things that you save for right now. But also think in the back pocket, what are you going to do now to fill the back pocket for later? So for your retirement,
Oh,
retirement is not something to that people are like, I want to is the 60. Now the millennials like, I'm ready to retire because work is not for me at 40. Because that, and then a lot of times too, I have been finding people not like suggesting about retirement, but even their transition from corporate America to working for themselves. And I've been creating a lot of exit strategies for people as of late, especially this pandemic, because it's about being flexible. I don't know, it's always been deemed as an anonymous quote. It's always be stingy with your intentions, but flexible with your, I guess, how you get it done. So you can have the intentions that I want to, being able to travel, be a digital nomad, have, financial abilities, but also I'm flexible to how that happens.
Right.
There's no one way and no one formula to get to your goal.
Right. I guess, everyone is at a different stage of life, has a different goal. So, like for me, I've always had the 401k thing that your parents taught you to do. I would say more recently, I have actually started to put money into fractional stocks.
Hey, look at you.
So how do you feel about the fractional stock options?
I am for fractional stocks. The reason why, and I'll say this, is I have a share of a very big company that everybody loves to use, and they have their own Prime Day. You know what I'm saying?
I have that same thing.
I started a couple years ago when a platform that I use and love to recommend, Stockpile, started offering fractional shares. So at that time, that's when Amazon was like, I said the name, was like $1,200. But then I started buying fractional shares of it until I got to it. So, and one of the questions, interestingly enough, that you say that, is that one of the questions that I found somebody asked me yesterday during my Ask Me Anything was, how can I purchase stock without I don't have enough money to get a full share? Fractional shares is actually what I recommend. You kind of see what it is. Say, for instance, with who is it that I love to use? Apple is now $100 and some now due to their split. If you don't have the full $100 because you're trying to manage your budget, doing fractional shares, if you have $25, $20 or whatever, and getting it done within a month.
Yeah, I started a few of them with $10.
Yep.
So
if you spend on coffee, you can own some Starbucks, own Dunkin'.
Yeah, and that's what I really started to work on. So I'm having fun with it, and so funny sitting at dinner. I'm like playing I do it through Cash App, and I know that there's other ones to do it through.
I actually recommended someone to Cash App about doing it because of the ease, and it's free. And you can kind of get used to it. So that's why I always suggest those free apps so you get used to learn what to look for, feel comfortable without, investing and getting over the risk factor and getting used to it. I recommend it actually. Before
you know it though, when you say, you're on there and you're looking and you get excited and then before you know, I'm like, I just spent $100. But you know what? Is it better for me to spend $100 on my Cash App buying stock or going to the mall and spending $100?
Exactly. It's going to pay you back over time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I don't feel so bad about that. But it is interesting because a lot of people, like you say, they don't really understand that they don't have to buy, Amazon stock that's $1,500 or whatever. They could buy $50 worth of that fractional stock and it's still growing.
It still grows over time because even with companies like the Amazons that's not paying out dividends right now, it's another thing called capital gains that over time, as it grows, what your initial investment is going to grow along with it. So even if you start up with $25 and it goes up to what I think $3,000 now. That $25, even if you didn't have the amount to keep doing it with that $25 can grow over to be $100 worth, $200 worth based upon how the company has performed over time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what about, people like me who invested in their 401k forever, probably didn't invest as much as they should. But like for me now, I have like a 401k that's floating out there that was, when I was working for someone else. Now I work for myself and, now it's kind of dormant and just sitting there.
I would suggest a rollover IRA. For a lot of people that have worked for companies and forgotten about that money that they left there, rolling it over to an IRA, especially Roth, that will actually, you will have access to it. You can start growing it even more, and you can actually make it kind of like your, it's another term, I can't, have a lost moment, another term where you actually are a solopreneur or entrepreneur, where you can use that as your retirement fund until you find a kind of 401k. And there's a lot of companies now that are coming out with solo, or I'm hating not forgetting the name of the, it's a 401k that is for entrepreneurs now. Okay. But if you want to take that money that's from your old company, roll it over to a Roth, and you'll have access to it. And if you leave it there, you can either keep it half there and then move it over to another kind of retirement fund or vehicle and go from there.
Right. So I think it's really important, today, for young people who've been working for years like me. I think it's really important that we kind of shift our minds to really realize, I think the pandemic made me realize that I can't rely on the government to take care of me. If something happens, I need to take care of myself. So I think it's really important that we teach. I'm really into right now teaching my college age son about building wealth through fractional stocks, retirements, and the importance of having really good credit. Because without those things, you could be a great character, but we all know if we have bad credit, it's really hard to move up the ladder of just normal life. It is hard. So I think that, that's really important. And it's so crazy because, my son tells me they don't teach you even how to use a bank account in high school.
No, they do not.
And it's like, they'll teach us, like, I always say to him, sweetheart, don't ask me about math. When they put the alphabet in math, they lost your mom.
That was it for you.
That was it. I was like, I don't want to hear about your X, Y, and Z, okay? Because I don't care. And then I remember when I became a realtor and realized, that's why I needed to know algebra in high school and college. That's why. Because that math is totally different. But, like the things that they don't teach our kids in high school, and I know that our parents didn't teach us. I know my mom didn't teach me about finances or.
Funny to say that today's my dad's birthday.
Happy birthday, Mr. Vanderhall.
He's passed away, but what's really interesting is
happy heavenly birthday.
I know. Is that I always say this, it's my parents who taught me about money. Interesting. My dad he used to show me his stocks and stuff. What does this mean? What does this mean? But on the opposite end, seeing how my mama, I call her mama.
I do too.
Call her mama. How she operated the spending and the budgets and stuff. They didn't really technically say, this is how you do it, blah, blah, blah. Their mannerisms showed me different sides and levels to it as well.
Awesome.
And that's also watching Bloomberg when you on the way to school.
There you go. Well, I'm so glad that you had a great role models in your life for that, because not everyone does. And it's so important for young people to really understand how important it is to build wealth for when you do retire. And, that we can't rely on Social Security and Medicare to take care of us, right?
Oh, it's sad. It's really sad. I'm like, is it going to be around by the time I touch it? I know. Exactly. I used to say, it's okay, I'm helping my grandma. That's what I used to say. That's how I see it. I see it too.
That's how I always saw it. So, that's why we just have to, be cognizant of building our own wealth and, working towards that. So I really appreciate you talking to me today. Can you tell everyone how we can get a hold of you? I know we can get a hold of you on Facebook.
Yes.
And tell us about your web page so that we can get onto the website.
Okay. You can just type in Nadia C. Vanderhall and it's .com. And it'll take you right to my website. You'll learn more about me, my company, my service offerings and everything. I am on, like everyone else, I'm on Pinterest as in Nadia Vanderhall, and I have a lot of things that I kind of share on social on there, but also on Instagram at NV Knows. That's a nickname because my mom called me her little Google. So NV Knows, as well as Facebook.
Okay, and I want you to tell everyone your Facebook page because you go live almost every day and you always have really good things to talk about. Your tea, as you call it.
It's the Brands and Bands. If you type in the Brands and Bands, you'll see my little face and you'll pop right up.
Wonderful.
And I also kind of share on my personal Facebook, which is pretty much open to the world, because I don't want people to think that, oh, you can kind of counterbalance wherever you're gonna do. Because sometimes in my personal Facebook, I just like something comes to me, click, and I go ahead and do it there. But a lot of my content is housed on the Brands and Bands.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thanks, Nadia. I'm really excited that we got to talk. Nadia is actually a client of mine, and that's how we met. And we actually met through Facebook. So, and then we looked for a house together. So, that's how Nadia and I met, and I hope that you guys will go on to her Facebook page and support her. And if you have any questions, please contact Nadia. If you have any questions about marketing or questions about building wealth and looking for your retirement. Yes. So I really appreciate you talking to us today and giving us some tea. And, and I wish you all the best. So thank you so much, Nadia. You have a great night.
Thank you. You too.